Hello and welcome to iTuitions. In this session we will look at rearranging formulas, which is also known as changing the subject. Sometimes we need to rearrange a formula to find the value of a particular variable. To do this, you use the same methods as solving equations. But just a quick reminder, the three important rules to remember are: always do the same thing on both sides of the formula. To get rid of something, do the opposite, which is the inverse operations method. And finally, keep going until you have the letter you want on its own. The subject of a formula is a letter, known as the variable, on one side of the equal sign. For example, x is the subject of this formula because it's on its own. On the other side of the equal sign, we have a y, but it's not on its own. We also have a +8. The subject is always the letter that sits on its own on one side of the equal sign, and in this case, it's the x. Let's rearrange our formula. We have here a equals to 3b minus 4. As it stands, a is the subject because it's on its own on one side of the equal sign. But let's make the letter b the subject of this formula. To do this, we need to rearrange it. b has a 3 in front of it, but it also has a minus 4 next to it. So we need to get rid of these to get b on its own. And to do this, we will use the inverse operation method. We start by getting rid of the constants, as in the numbers that are on their own without a letter in front of it. And in this case, it's the 4. So the opposite of subtract is add. So to get rid of the 4, I will add 4. But I must do the same on this side of the equal sign. I'm going to rewrite this just to make it clear. So a plus 4 equals, we cancel this out, we have 3b on this side. But b is still not on its own, so we need to keep going until we get a b on its own. 3 multiplied by b, the opposite of multiplication is division, so I will divide by 3 to get rid of the 3 and get b on its own. But I must do the same on the other side. Divide 3. And let me write this out again. So now we have a plus 4 divided by 3 equals b. So we do have b on its own. But be careful with the divide. When we do it on this side, we divide the whole side and not just the one term. Let's do another example. We've got here y equals x divided by 4 plus 6. As it stands, y is the subject of this formula because it sits on its own on one side of the equal sign. But let's make x the subject of this formula. And to do that, we need to rearrange this. I'm going to start by getting rid of the 6. The opposite of add is subtract. Subtract 6, and this will cancel out. But we must do the same to the other side. Minus 6. Now we have y minus 6 equals x divided by 4. We still don't have x on its own. It's x divided by 4. The opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply by 4 to get rid of the 4. And now we do have x on its own. But we must do the same to the other side. Be careful with this one. When you're multiplying by the other side, you must multiply by the whole of the other side. Therefore, you need to put the y minus 6 into a bracket and put the 4 outside the bracket, which now gives us 4 multiplied by y multiplied by minus 6 equals to x. And this would be the same as if you expand the bracket, 4 multiplied by y is 4y. 4 multiplied by negative 6 is negative 24 equals to x. And I have covered how to expand brackets in my previous videos. One last example. Y is the subject of this formula. Let's rearrange it to make x the subject of this formula. So we'll start by getting rid of the 4. The opposite of subtract is add. Add 4 cancels this one out. But we must do the same on the other side. I'm writing this out again just to make it more clear. Y plus 4 equals to the square root of x. We still don't have x on its own. We need to get rid of the square root. And the opposite of square root is squaring the number. So when we do this, we get x on its own. But we must do the same to the other side. And this means we need to do it to the whole of the other side and not just one term. So we'll put this into a bracket and square it. So now we have y plus 4 squared equals to x. The only way to get better at rearranging formulas is practice. So have a go at these. The answers are in the description box. Thank you for watching, and please do subscribe to my channel for more videos.